Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's meeting. This is NASA Space App Challenging Welcome Meeting. Here, we are so happy to introduce you more about the NASA Space App Challenging. First, I would like to introduce myself. I'm founder and CEO of Magikid Robotics Lab. Today, we have a lot of students and families here with us. Thank you guys joining us with this special event. NASA Space App Challenging is international space science challenging and also technology hackathon challenging for the kids and also for adults. Everyone can join the event with your innovation ideas about space science. And each year they will bring lots of different kind of topics. And this year is very special because as you see, this is their 10th year. So there are lots of amazing things happen this year. Today, our curriculum director, Matt, is going to introduce you more about this compensation and these challenges. And we are talking about the last month because October 2nd and October 3rd is the time we'll have the competition. So in the last month, what we'll do and what will happen, we'll learn from NASA, also learn from Matt. And also today, we're gonna discuss with you how to prepare for the challenging for the competition, and also we can answer your questions. So now it's Matt, it's your turn.
All right, so welcome everybody. I'm just going to start us off with a little video from NASA that is it's all about people who is first, if this is your first time joining the Space Apps Challenge. So I know there's a lot of us that are, it's the first year, so let's go ahead and check it out. I'll go ahead and share this video for us.
Hi, I'm Vincent Yu. This is my space app story. Coding, the art of giving instructions to computer. It can display a cute picture of a duck on your screen or lead our whole human society into a vast void we call space. Space app is a perfect place to combine all these cool things with creativity and storytelling. During the first time I joined, I did not know what was going on and what I should do. However, there's tremendous mentoring and guidance from my teachers and teammates, which helped me gain a lot of valuable knowledge. I personally think if you want to make participants more excited, more workshops can be organized. To newbies like me, we are very excited about these programs as we can learn more, thus making us more prepared for this competition. To me, if this is your first time joining, you should have a look at past year submissions to give yourself more clue on what is going on and prepare yourself for your project. This can also make you more excited. Besides that, there's a lot of information on the internet, and that is my go-to place for information. Not only this, ask your teachers and seniors. I'm sure they can help you with all your questions. But most importantly, enjoy the process. Experience every second of it and just have fun. Thank you.
All right, cool. So I hope that video got you guys inspired. It always inspires me to think about all the cool things that are about to happen this year. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off by talking about what we're going to be covering tonight. Just for those of you who have just joined us, welcome. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen once more here. All right. Okay, cool. So we're going to be starting us off with the Space Apps website, and we're going to talk about a little timeline, which is showing behind us all here. We'll talk about that in just a moment, and then some tips on how to prepare, and then we'll take questions. All right, so let's start us off by checking out the Space Apps Challenge website. So if you haven't been there before, I highly recommend it. There's stuff that's always changing there all the time, so it's always good to check back. Every time I try to check there every day just to see what's new. And there's always things updating all the time. So let's go ahead and start us off just at the very top up here. We see their newest blog post, which came out last week, I think, or a little bit before that. And this is all about the power of 10. So if you haven't heard that this year is the 10th anniversary. So the first one happened in not like 9 years ago. This is going to be the 10th one. So we're going to go ahead and check that out. Let's start off at their blog entry here. So they have Power of 10. They actually have always had lots of other people. It's not just NASA as part of this, but this Power of 10 is reaching out to all the different space agencies throughout the world. So not just US, of course, we've got Australian Space Agency, the Brazilian Space Agency, Canada, I mean, European, Japan, Argentina, Bahrain, Paraguay, South Africa, and all these different agencies have different goals, different things they're working on, and so all these things we can share together to be able to work with this Space Apps Challenge. All right, and their blog kind of goes on for a little while. I won't read all of it. I highly encourage you guys to read about it. But one thing I did want to note is that they've expanded the type of awards they're offering this year. So they have 4 new awards and new categories. So now they have a total of 10. So they really like 10 this year. So previously they've done things like best use of science, best use of data, best use of technology, galactic impact, best mission concept, most inspirational, and now they have some new new awards, including the Best Storytelling Award. So this one's all about communicating your story, and Global Connection Award, Art and Technology Award, and of course Local Impact Award. So all these new ones have been announced, and of course they link to the challenge summaries, which we're going to take a look at in a little bit. All right, so that is a little bit about their first page. Angel, hi.
Hi, man, that's great news. So we have 4 new awards this year, right?
Yeah.
So all this award will come from the NASA international level, also the local level, right? I think that's super exciting. And I have a question about the Best Storytelling Award. So some parents is asking me that means they don't need to develop application, they can just create a story. That's work.
Well, the storytelling also takes place in really any challenge you do. It's all about. I think this award here is going to be all the entire point of the Space Apps Challenge is so that way people can use and reuse information that is open data, meaning here just like that it's free to use for everybody, and all these different space agencies have it. So being able to use that and incorporate into a new story. So yeah, you don't have to have any programming knowledge. The challenges are there's a lot of different types of challenges, and they all kind of focus on the idea of how we can reuse this information in different ways. And so whether that's designing a game, creating an item, or solving or some ideas, some novel ways of solving some ideas, that's what this competition is all about.
Great. So that means like we could have kind of an idea and make it into a story and telling everyone, share with everyone. And it's connection to application, but it's maybe not really coding necessary.
Right, exactly.
Thank you.
All right, so the next thing we have here is kind of going through, of course, if you haven't signed up already, it's all done remotely. So I think everyone here is already signed up, but if you're not, check it out once more on our location that our local lead is the Chino Hills lab. So you can find that as the location. Of course, they're all being done remotely this year, so it will all be done virtually, just like last year. And once again, we see all the different agencies working together here. And of course, you can review previous winners, which is a great way to kind of take a look at what's happened before. Now, of course, at Magikid, if you've taken any of our classes, we actually did this in a unit, or you might be currently in one of those units, where we kind of walk through those. But they're also available on our YouTube webpage, where we kind of talk about 9 different ones that kind of talk about different ways they've approached the different projects they've completed. Of course, you don't have to stop there. You can always take a look at other projects too. But this one, we have a great 15-minute video you can check out on YouTube for that. I'll put that in the chat room as well. But you can always check out previous winners. Of course, there are all these different years here. You can go back, and every year has different sets of winners and different challenges. So that's the main thing that we wanted everyone to kind of know about. All right, so the next thing I wanted to kind of address here is the way that we are the way you can also get more information, and that's with their social pages. So if I take a look here once more, going to at the very bottom of their page, they have lots of great social media resources, including things like Facebook. So if you have a Facebook account, you can check out some things there, or Twitter. So if I click on any of these, we'll jump right to them. So here, this is going to be the Facebook page. And the Facebook page here, as it loads up, there we go. They're always talking about anything that's new. So their newest post is talking about local leads just like us that are working together to figure out how we can help support our area. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. And of course, there's other things that they kind of mentioned as well, getting everybody kind of excited about it. There's a lot of information that will be coming because not everything is coming all at once. It has there's a certain amount of information that's being released at different times. And that's why it's great to always keep checking back because things are always developing and right up until the event. And here we can also see this is that blog post I was just showing you guys. So that's their Facebook page. They also have, of course, Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, you can check that out as well. And their Twitter page, once again, they'll kind of let you know about any new things here. So whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or they even have Instagram, they'll kind of talk about some of the new things that are coming down and getting everyone excited about all this here. I think my Twitter or my this might not work on the website, but you can see that they're at NASA Space Apps. You can kind of see it briefly. There you go. All right, cool. So once again, it's all about getting people involved, and new information will be released through these channels as well as their website. So keep an eye on that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look now at the next thing, and that's what is our timeline. Okay, so their information is all listed. They have a frequently asked questions web page. Let me jump to that really quick. It's really long though, so it might take you a while. It took me a while to read all of it, but they have that here, a participant frequently asked questions. But I'm just going to highlight some things that are going to kind of showcase some of the things that we're thinking about as we're approaching the release of the actual event. All right, so we're going to read this here. So here in September, that's where we are now. Of course, everyone's encouraging us to read the challenge summaries, and that's where we can start to narrow down your favorites. Do some, kind of just go through. There are 27, 26 really, because one of them is a choose your own. But the problem with choose your own is that that one's not being judged. So if you don't want to enter, that's kind of like not really the competition part. But the other 26 are part of the competition. They all have a little challenge summary, which isn't all the information, of course. There's going to be more information coming soon. And they're also starting to release their boot camp video series. So this is all on their YouTube channel. Right now, there's a few from this year, and they'll be releasing them as they go, kind of different topics. The boot camp is all about ways you can work with teams, lessons learned from previous years, things like that. So it's a great way to kind of catch up on more stuff here. So that's available. If I go back to their website, you can see this information. Their bootcamp thing is on their YouTube. So if I actually go to their frequently asked questions here, it'll be in here as well. But I might put that in the chat as well, because it's, as you can see, the frequently asked questions is pretty long. But these will have a lot of information in here. So if I get to the bootcamp, oops. There it is. Okay, so the virtual bootcamp, this is going to be here on their YouTube page. So I'll get that in a moment. Now, coming up towards the middle of September, their full challenges and resources will be available. So right now, it's just this challenge summaries. We're going to take a look at that in a little bit. But the summaries are more just like, here's a basic idea of what the challenge is going to be about. And the full challenge challenges and resources are a little bit more detailed. If we take a look at some previous years, you'll see that it's not just one little paragraph. It goes on about different ways, different types of resources that are available, and that all become clearer once they actually are fully released. Then on the September 24th, that's when you can actually sign up officially as a team. Right now, everyone's signed up individually, and you can't really connect as a team member yet officially. So that will happen on this day once they release that, or around this day. Then around September 28th, the chat rooms will be open. And this is going to be a great resource for connecting. If you are maybe don't have a team yet, you can find team members this way. Or if you're open to having more people in your team, you can also do that too. And these chat rooms here are going to be a great way for us all to communicate, but we have to wait till the release. So that'll be later on this month. Then they'll have on October 1st at 9 a.m. And that's this time here is all the local time. So this will be in Pacific Daylight Time, so California time. The challenge channels will be open. Now the challenge channels are a way for each challenge will have a dedicated NASA expert that you can ask questions or clarifications to. So that will be a great resource starting right the day before. As the day approaches, you want to have your team already set up. And of course, you'll already know which challenge you're ready to start working on. Then of course, 9 a.m. October 2nd is when it actually starts, and it continues until the final submission is allowed, and that will be at the very last moment of October 3rd. And of course, just for fun, we're going to have like a little party on the 7th, just to kind of recap. That way, it doesn't just end there, and we'll have things like local awards and other fun stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and break some of these things down a little bit, because there's sometimes a little confusion with, well, if they have the releases here, can we start working on it now? It's a great question. And in fact, it's part of their frequently asked questions. So I'm just going to read some of the quotes that were from the frequently asked questions page, and that will help clarify. And you can see this here in a little bit more context. By mid-September, all the full challenge statements and data resources will go live on the website. So start thinking about which challenge you want to tackle. All right, great. That's what we're going to be doing. Regardless of when your team forms, participants are not permitted to start working on their solutions until the Space Apps event begins on October 2nd at 9 a.m. And that will be our local time, once again, PDT. Can people start working? And this is another question, once again, can people start working on the challenges as soon as they're published? We appreciate the enthusiasm of participants who want to start as early as possible, but we ask that participants start the actual work when the hackathon begins on October 2nd. All right, so this leads to a question. Well, what are we supposed to do in the meantime? We're all excited. We kind of get an idea which challenge we're going to work on. I'll give you guys some tips in a little bit. Now, around the 24th, we mentioned, that there's going to be an actual sign up page that will be where you can connect as your team. That's will be one person in your team will actually do the team connecting. They'll be the one that lists all who's in the team, the name of the team, things like that. So once again, I just want to remind everybody that a team would consist of anywhere between 2 to 6, 6 being the absolute max members that you can have in your team. You could try to do it yourself, but the problem with that is there's a lot of work and you don't want to do it by yourself, really. In fact, NASA discourages that. So they suggest at least two people, hopefully no more than 6. And in fact, 6 is the limit, because as big groups get bigger, it gets harder to communicate and to figure out what it is exactly you want to showcase. During the week prior to the hackathon, you'll be officially register your team on the Space Apps website. And one person from team is responsible for creating and registering the team. All right, now once again, we talked about late September, the chat rooms are open. All right, so these chat rooms have all sorts of different parts to them. There's location-specific chat channels, so that will be like our chat channel. Team chat channels for you to be able to communicate with your team and also leave messages that way. And also welcome and announcement channels coming from NASA headquarters, from the Space Apps Challenge people as well. Then of course, on October 1st, the challenge channels will open. And each one, as I mentioned before, they're each going to have experts from NASA and other space agencies. So including one of those other 10 might be represented from there too, will be available in the challenge channels to answer questions about the challenges and data. And don't miss out, those challenge channels will be open all the way until the final time of the final submission, which is 11:59 p.m. PDT. Now it's pretty late, so hopefully you have your stuff set in before then. In fact, we encourage that you can start publishing your page and keep updating it as you go along. That way it's not like waiting to the last moment. And then of course, October 2nd is when it actually starts, 9 a.m. You start working as a team on your chosen challenge solutions. So that is a great place for us to kind of talk about. Okay, so let's talk about what we can do in the meantime. right? We already have some challenge summaries. I mean, you might take a look at some of them, and you might have some might look really interesting. And we'll find out even more around September 15th when they release more information. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let me head over to their website again. And to see their challenge summaries, I can go right here to challenges. And you can also do this for previous years too, if you're interested. You can always see what they've done in the past, which can be very fascinating. But these challenges here, remember, these are just summaries, so they don't go into a lot of descriptions. I can't really click on them yet, but when I hover over them, that's where I can see what type of things they are. And they also have even a filter to kind of narrow some things down. If you're interested in only certain types of game ideas, you can click right here and jump right to those ones. Or maybe you're interested in just some youth ones. You could do that here with youth-friendly events. So by looking at any of these things, we can quickly go to that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what we can do next about how this will work. All right, so if I take a look here and I go to the games and I take a look at how any of these games are, maybe I want to read one of these. So if I do that, I can just leave my mouse here. So for example, Space Quest, this one, to me, there's a lot of great ones out there, but this one seems really interesting. So Space Quest, the game here. So the words, it says that your challenge is to create a game that teaches players about space from the perspective of the architectures and challenges of exploration. The setting can be the past through the future with destinations in our solar system and beyond. All right, so it's pretty vague. There's some pretty crazy words I had to look up. I didn't know what architectures meant in this sense. So sometimes that happens, right? When you're looking at these challenges, you might have to look up some words. So I highly recommend that. There's some great concepts I'd never heard of until I looked at these challenges myself. I've already been through a lot of these, and I encourage everyone to take a look. And even if you're like, well, I think I'll just focus on these ones here. Take a look at all of them so you get a big picture of like what's happening and what are all the challenges and all the different options. Now, remember, these aren't the only ones that they might add some more as we go along. In fact, within the past couple days, they had added another one. So it might continue to change. And around September 15th is when we'll see the full list and we'll see the more information and other resources related to these types of challenges. All right, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, cool. So I have a couple tips for you guys. All right, so if we can't work on it, how can we practice in the meantime? Okay, so there's a couple great ways we can do that. So one way we can practice or get ready is, of course, to read all those challenges. Just like I mentioned, we want to make sure that we really know which ones we're kind of geared towards, and we start narrowing down our favorites. Maybe there's 3 or 4 that you really like. So make sure to write that down somewhere so you can keep track, and also keep checking back to see if there's any new information or any new ones that come out. Once that happens, then you'll be able to know, and your team can decide as a team what you want to work on. So you're ready to go on October 2nd. And before then, you also want to maybe talk with your parents because they want to know who the members are. And sometimes you and your parents might not want your face on the member page. So another way of doing that would be to like draw a little picture, like a self-portrait, something like that. You can use actually any picture, but they recommend not copyrighted. So unfortunately, you can't put Pikachu as your profile picture. But if you want, you can draw a picture yourself or anything else, just to have some fun. So they have an idea who the team members are. So you can take a look at that. And of course, also be brainstorming your team names. If you have some team name ideas, just write them all down. So that way you can do all that without having to take too much time as you get closer to it. And then the other final things here, I'll mention these last ones, and then we'll go ahead and get some questions from everybody. Or you can start typing them now in the chat if you don't want to forget. But if you already know that you want to start working on it, and let's say no Scratch. Well, if you've heard from me before, you already know that what I always recommend is using Scratch as a way to illustrate your idea. Don't try to do the entire program in the weekend, because what's going to happen is you'll run out of time, because programming, as you all know, can take a long time. And with larger groups, it can be a little bit easier. But we really want to know, what NASA really wants to know, especially with all the previous winners, you can see a lot of them just showed their ideas. Here's how our game works. Here's how our app works. And that's what NASA really wants to see. They want to see those ideas. So we can focus on and practice this right now. And that's doing things like creating a Scratch animation and practicing it. And then you can, of course, record those little clips. If you have an iPad, you can use a screen recorder to record that really easily, or maybe on your computer, you might have a recording program like OBS or any of these other programs. And you could, of course, use previous year's challenges as inspiration, or just make up some for fun, just to get some practice in of what it's going to be like when you actually want to showcase your idea. You can also practice your editing. Now, I've already gave this assignment to some of my students to make little videos. So I recommend that for everybody. Make a little video. It could be just for fun. But that process of making a video and showcasing and showing your idea is exactly what you're going to need for this challenge. In fact, making a video is definitely a component you can add, usually about 30 seconds or less. So trying to fit all the information in an organized manner really quickly, that takes practice. So I highly recommend practicing making little videos now, and that way you get used to how everything works and how you can export videos and make little video clips and all that stuff, and even do practice voiceover. It's a lot of fun. And of course, the last thing is, if you are one of those people like, I love video games, they're so great. Make sure to take a look at those video games, how they're constructed, and think about like how their user interface works. What do you see when you're looking at those apps, and what types of components are they? What do they have? Take your favorite app or your favorite game and break that down. Write down all the different things. And when you think about from that perspective, those type of tools will help you when you're doing the challenge. All right, so hopefully those tips will help you guys out. I hope you guys are really excited to start doing some of these things. Hopefully it doesn't sound like homework, because it's not. I mean, yes, you are at home doing it, but it's fun. So I always recommend making little movie clips and be thinking about all these fun things. All right, so I want to make sure that we get some questions in here. So if you have some questions, you can put them in the chat, and we'll start reading them from there. But Angel, let me know if you have any questions too.
Yeah, so one parent is asking like, is there a age limitation? We used to answer this question before, but this is more like if the adult join the team with young learners, so can they make a role like instructor or teacher, or just the member of the team, if that's flexible?
That's a great question. Yes, so they really encourage, even in that video that we just saw, talking about mentors and teachers. Of course, you can definitely seek information from anybody, right? So the team members themselves, a team could be constructed however you want. Once again, it has to be, each person has to have their own account on Space App Challenge. And so if you and your parents want to work together, you can definitely do that. A parent is supposed to monitor any type of online activity like that. So the parent wants to be a part of that process of signing up for the kid. But if you and your entire family want to work together, awesome. There have been lots of examples of that happening in the past. Families working together as a team. That's a great idea. You know, you can be able to work together, and of course you can seek out information from other people too, whether it be teachers or any other type of mentors, getting some idea, kind of bouncing your ideas off. But remember, all the work is supposed to be done by the members. Okay, so don't think that you can maybe have your neighbor do all the work for you. Right? We don't want to make sure that we're doing the work ourselves. But you definitely can reach out to anybody and have that that practice to be able to explain your idea, and they can maybe ask questions about, like, well, if something doesn't make sense. Remember, what we're going to be judged on is what was listed on our final page, our group page. So if we have those ideas and they're listed there, that's what the judges are going to be looking at. They won't be able to read our minds, so we have to make sure to show as best we can our ideas and answering those questions or any of our other thoughts on that page, and get that submitted before the deadline.
Cool, thank you. So the second question will be like, this year, when we say that's a virtual ones, but it still has lots of locations, then it does mean that it used to be have a offline event before, and also for the online one, we say like maybe you are not really living in California, but you can still register on this location. If they can just have a virtual team online collaboration with different cities, countries, how they can do that, and can they do that?
That's a great question. So on NASA's page, they talk about that. So you're absolutely right. In previous years, last year was the first year they did it virtually because
COVID.
We all know why. Yeah. So but before that, what would happen is each location would have like a place where everyone would go, which is a lot of fun and a lot of exciting times. But unfortunately, right now it's online only, which unfortunate, right? You have some benefits. The benefits is you can work with people from all over the place, just like you said. What they recommend is that if you have a team group, just have one person, that person is that's the time frame you're working on. Teams are globally, and even though it seems kind of weird, well, why are we having locations when it's virtual? Well, the reason is because different time zone exists, but also it's a way of kind of separating all the different teams and separating them into different units, into different organizations, so that way they have local help. Okay, and that's what we're going to do here. We're going to be the local help for the Chino Labs and Magikid locations. That way we can all answer questions or anything or research we find out, we can kind of pass that along, so that way everybody is clued on all the stuff. So great question.
Yeah, so when parents is asking that for the exactly October 2nd and the 3rd, how can they, if they have questions, how can they find us or find the other resources?
Sure. So let's see if I can show the picture. Okay, so the chat room's right here. The chat room will be open on September 28th. That's a great way they can.
How to find the chat rooms?
We won't have them access. What will happen is around that time, around the 28th or so, that's when it's going to be released. Right now, it's a platform. In previous years, what happens is your online accounts start getting upgrades, basically, right? You get the ability to have the posted local information. So there's a lot of kind of waiting until those dates start to arrive. And then that location, the chat rooms will open up, and that's where our local chat will happen. And that's where we can have questions. What's nice about local chats is if someone asks a question, you'll see everyone can see the answer. So that way everyone will start building off of those previous questions and everything will get answered. Until then, you definitely can reach out to us. You can email us at either spaceapps@magikid.com, or you can, if you click on like the local lead name, that'll also get an email to me as well. So, and whether it's to me or Angel or any of us, we can definitely help find those answers, because we probably have those questions too. Because there's a lot of great information, but it's being slowly revealed.
Yes, so you can find on NASA's website easily our location, and then you can find our informations. But of course, for the exactly October 3rd, 2nd and 3rd, may probably be all the time. We'll find the Zoom room maybe online, so you guys can find us easy, and we'll start the opening meeting that day, the 2nd of October. 9 a.m. I think. So we'll inform everyone through our social media or email. So please pay attention. Don't put our email in your trash can. Another thing is like So we do have another question. Like people were asking that we have some local lab open, like Urban Lab and our Diamond Bar Labs, and there's some team members from there, and they're asking like whether they can gather in the lab and be coached by the instructor and making just experience all the 2 days for the competition and the challenges.
Sure, those are great questions to ask your local lab about, because every lab's going to operate differently on how they want to do that. So you can ask and see what types of support they can offer at like an in-person lab. Once again, remember, it doesn't have to be. You can always do it, but sometimes it is nice a little to be able to pass along information or show things in real life. But remember, you're not limited by that if you don't have that. Another question I see in here too is someone actually asked. Are you allowed to use other types of programming languages? Of course, you could use whatever will be useful to be able to showcase what it is that you want to explain in your idea. Now, remember, I always try to think of it like this: try to showcase your idea first, and then work on the technical part. Because sometimes if someone mentioned about a database, right? Of course, you're taking lots of information and rearranging it. You can totally do that. But try to make sure that your ideas are out there first. That way the judges will see that most easily. And then you can always add more supporting stuff as the weekend progresses, right up until the deadline. And in fact, afterwards, you can continue working on it. You just won't be judged on it. But you still might have the idea like, here's some more. We just thought was this really fun idea. So, there's been teams that have actually done that too. After the competition, they continue working on it just for fun. So you're definitely welcome to do that. But remember, the main thing is what the judges will see is what's listed on that page. So you really want to make sure that your idea is explained as best as it can be.
Yeah. So I think for the last week of September, we are going to have 2 meetings with everyone, especially the participators, about how to organize all the wordy job. So there are lots of sentences you can write, and you need to organize your description of your ideas. It's not only a video, you still need to, fill in some form. So that's something also important. We'll have a specific time for Zoom meeting for people can, discuss how to deal with that kind of thing. And we do have some students working with us about the competition for a long time. I think this is exciting time. So I think you can communicate with your partners right now or the team members, but still need to wait for the last 2 days and to join and enjoy the competition or the challenges. Last but not least, I would like to take a little time to mention about Storybird. So we know that Magikid has a sister website that is Storybird. So we already gathering lots of amazing space pictures. It's like the art of space story. So we, at the same time, we have a space story challenging, and we already talked with that with NASA. So you can write your own stories here. It means that you can create any kind of story based on all these pictures, and also some amazing picture from NASA, something happened, the space. So all these in amazing things. So you can write lots of things. It's not only limited that's kind of like the picture story. It could also be something like a poetry or like a flash fiction or even a long form book if you want. So I don't know, we can check any of the picture to see whether there's somebody already writing something about this. So this is a famous picture. And you see, this is somebody already writing some story about this. So you can check Storybird and you can choose writing. And when you choose writing, you can choose the picture like space story, and you can find all these amazing pictures. And you already see that lots of people already writing some stories here. Let's see. Yes. Oh, this is cool. This is flash fiction. Amazing, cool. So that's another challenge come with these things. And you may not really join the NASA Space App Challenge, but you can always join the Space Story Challenge. You are welcome. And we'll also share the winners of the Space Story Challenge at the end, the October 7th with everyone.
Another question I see in the chat here too is someone's asking, well, how do we choose team members? That's a great question. If you don't have a team yet, or you're like, well, I don't know how to choose. Well, there's a couple different ways. One way is if you do belong, like you said, Angel, to a local lab, and you have some people that you've already been kind of working with, maybe taking some classes with, definitely ask them, see if it could work with that, or maybe someone at the local lab has other suggestions. Once the chat rooms open up on what was it, 24 well, yeah, there we go. Yeah, once the chat rooms open up a little bit, then what will happen is you can also find team members that way too. So remember, team members can be chosen right up until the date, right? And once you choose a team member, it's like there's a couple little rules, and we'll kind of talk about that as it gets closer to this date, like when the wherever it is on our timeline.
24, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, there we go. So once it happens, then we'll talk a little bit more in details on certain things that'll happen. Of course, it'll be easier to explain once you see it. Right now, you can go in the past and kind of see what they did last year, and it's going to probably be the same, but we don't really know for sure until the exact date.
Yeah, highlight again, more challenges and more resources will be released the whole September continued. So we'll have a separate meeting two meetings actually at the end of September, the last 2 weeks. So we are going to have another conclusion introduction to everyone, and you guys can really learn something about how to prepare the description of your application ideas. So that's something very important also. So yeah, but before that, there are lots of things you can do, like practice how to edit a video, how to recording something, how to catch some great ideas, and also go through their website and their Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to find some most latest news about these challenges.
That's right. One thing also I see in the chat, and I'll just go ahead and mention it one more time, just in case you haven't signed up already. So to sign up, if you go to Space Apps Challenge, once again, I'll put this in the chat here. Okay, there we go. So once you create an account, it'll ask you about locations. So you can you can enter Chino Hills, and that's where you'll find our location here. And right now I'm logged in, so you can see it. But what happens is when you first go to the website, they'll ask about signing up or signing in, and that's where. So let me actually go to Space Apps Challenge. There we go. Okay, it's cool. So if I log out for a second, so you can see what it looks like if you don't have an account. All right. Okay, cool. So, oops, logged out. Okay, let me try again. All right, but once you have it here, it's just like any other account. Make sure you have your username, password. So here you have a login information and a sign up button. So if you haven't signed up yet, you can definitely go through that process. There's not many things you can do yet. You don't want to do things like picking a challenge or worrying about the team, because remember, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. Well, that'll be a little bit later. That's why we made this little infographic to kind of help showcase a little bit, because right now all that information is in here. If you do have time, you can read through this. Once again, it's a lot, so you might need to take a little breaks like I did, but it's all information in there. It's really good to see. And like we mentioned before, you can always go down and see previous years. So for example, I know in our classes, we actually do this a lot. We go through the previous year winners and take a look at what they did. So just to showcase a little bit, Angel, what you're talking about, and for those who haven't done this yet, if I take a look at any of these, I'll go to the awards. This is from last year's website. You'll see that they have like the different winners here. So I'm going to go with Fireway. I know what theirs is about. And I'll talk about which awards they did. And this is the form. It's going to be like this. And it's going to be basically, you have the challenge that NASA gave, a summary of what it is that you're doing, and some information about how you addressed, like how you solved this particular challenge, as well as how you developed it. They also like to hear this part of the story, and that is not also but how they you might use the information from NASA, but also any types of problems you encountered and how you overcame them. They love that part is the storytelling. I think that's where they're really going with. They've mentioned a couple times in their bootcamp videos, so I highly recommend to mention those problems. Right, you're going to have problems. No team has a smooth sailing. You can talk about the issues you had. It's really tough with this particular thing, or maybe trying to meet up exactly, or someone's internet connection kept cutting out. There's lots of problems that could happen online or in person, so we can talk about those in your project. And of course, some other information about your demo, the video, or some data if you want as well. All right, so those are all available on their website. You can check any of those out and get an idea of some previous winners, what type of thing we're going to be in store for. But once again, there's a lot of stuff that we don't really know up at this point. All right, so
there is a question from our parents, one student of our lab. So she's asking that's how the class Unit 1 and Unit 2 from Magikid help kids prepare this challenge. I think that's a great question, because that's some very basic knowledge we can teach, but we don't have enough time for the last month hold them again, but we can still introduce some of this.
Yeah. So I know I just wanted to keep our meeting only to about 45 minutes. So we'll probably end here in a few minutes. I see that was one of the questions. But one of the other things, as I showed this page that you're talking about, Angel, someone asked, can you switch challenges or choose more than one? You should once you choose one, try to stick with it, and you can only do one. So that's why it's important to kind of take a look at all of them so you know what's happening beforehand. So in regards to our website, I think I already put the link for where we talk about previous ones. But yeah, some of the things we've already talked about, like in our classes, and that's the going through. So our different space app challenge. This one we already talked through. So if you've already done these, awesome. Or if you're in the process of doing it, that's totally cool too. We talk about some of those winners and some of the supporting projects, as well as some ideas of how to get ready with coming up with research and practicing some of these things that are going to be useful. And then in our latest one, our Space Apps 2, we talk a little bit more hands-on types of ideas. How can we make animations? How can we make a video that's going to really explain our ideas, and how we can kind of keep organized in that process. And this is that part you're talking about, Angel. The form is a little bit, it's going to change each year. It's changed slightly. So we're going to talk about that once it's a little bit more released of the types of things they're going to look for. So we're going to do this more towards the end of September. But those types of things, once again, you can always go back and where to go? Always go back to a previous year and take a look and see what in the past, what they've done. And you get a feel of what's going to happen, what type of form is going to be, and that's what they're going to be judging you on. So, all right.
Yeah. So I think the biggest difference between the kids, students can go through everything by themselves is like for younger learners, maybe it's so difficult for them to do everything by themselves. So they will need the teacher guide them step by step in a classroom. So for each case, they learn together and they do some practice together. And that's the way how we can help them. So I hope we answered your question. And yeah, time flies. And this is a welcome meeting. So we welcome everyone join this year's NASA Space App Challenge. And we know that there are a lot of questions in your head, but it's no problem. Just, just go through the whole process. You are understanding lots of things and you are experiencing lots of fun. And we are here always. So we are here at everything, the specific time, the specific timeline, big things happening, will inform you and we'll guide you how to do that. It's like just like we guide you how to register online and how to sign in. So that's something we'll step by step guide you guys and our students and our families go through that. And also as a local event hoster, we welcome all the people. Maybe you are not from Magikid Robotics Lab, and you are still welcome to this event. And if you have questions, please email us and also pay attention to our social media, Magikid YouTube and Magikid Facebook. And then we will put all this useful information on that platform also. Yeah. I think that's it's a time for lots of kids. They can join a hike event when they were only like 8 years old. How exciting! I'm excited also. I hope I can do that when I was go back to yeah. Okay, cool.
All right. Well, thank you everybody once again for joining us. And we all look forward to kind of seeing how things kind of play out. So just keep in mind this timeline. And I put our link for our website. We're going to be updating that in a couple of days as well with this type of timeline on it, just to remind everybody. But make sure to check out those frequently asked questions on their official page. And yeah, and we'll see you guys next time. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.